Continuing on with our season previews, as today we're going to be looking at the St. Louis Cardinals. No intro needed here, let's get right into the video. The Cardinals are coming off a great regular season, but a very disappointing postseason. They finished out the season with 93 wins, which was good enough to win the NL Central, but they were swept by the Phillies in the wildcard round. And losing in the wildcard is nothing new to the Cardinals, as this marked their third straight wildcard loss in 3 consecutive seasons. But as I just mentioned, they won 93 games in the regular season, which was a 3-game improvement from their 90-win 2021 season. And speaking of winning, the Cardinals do a lot of that, as they haven't had a losing season since 2007. Now, as for the offseason, they made a big splash in signing one of the biggest names on the market in Wilson Contreras. Now, as for their losses, they did lose a few names in Jose Quintana, Corey Dickerson, Alex Reyes, and the 2 veterans who retired in Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina. Now, looking at the Cardinals offensively last year, they were one of the league's best, as they had a 745 team OPS, which ranked 5th, and 197 home runs, which ranked 9th. When looking at this year's projected lineup, we have to start with the reigning National League MVP in Paul Goldschmidt, who hit .317 with 35 home runs and a .982 OPS. Goldschmidt seems to be the type of player who only gets better with age, and I would not be surprised at all to see him put up MVP caliber numbers again this year. They have another superstar infielder in Nolan Arenado, who last year hit .293 with 30 home runs and an .891 OPS. Arenado is one of the most consistent superstars in the game today. Year in and year out, he puts up great offensive numbers while also playing Gold Glove defense over at third base. Tommy Edman is another impact bat in this offense, who last year hit .265 with 13 home runs and 32 stolen bases. Edman, in my opinion, is a very underrated star who is really good defensively and really plays all around the field. As mentioned earlier, they picked up Wilson Contreras from the Chicago Cubs, who last year hit .243 with 22 home runs and an .815 OPS. Contreras is going to be a significant upgrade from Yadier Molina. He's going to put up much better offensive numbers. Brendan Donovan is another pretty good player in this offense, who last year as a rookie was very good, as he hit .281 with 5 home runs and a .773 OPS. Looking at their outfield, they have Tyler O'Neill, who last year did only hit .228, but he did have 14 home runs and 14 stolen bases. They also have Lars Nootbaar, who is a very good outfielder, who did hit .228 with 14 home runs and a .788 OPS. Another name we can't forget about is Juan Yepes, who last year hit .253 with 12 home runs and a .743 OPS. Dylan Carlson could also see some reps in the outfield, as last year the former top prospect hit .236 with 8 bombs. Nolan Gorman is another former prospect in this system, who last year hit .226 with 14 home runs and a .720 OPS. And for their top prospect right now, one of the best prospects in baseball, we have the 20-year-old phenom in Jordan Walker, who last year at AA hit .306 with 19 home runs and 22 stolen bases. Walker is originally a third baseman, but with Nolan Arenado manning the hot corner, it looks like Walker is getting some reps in the outfield, and I think they're going to find a way to get him in the big leagues sooner rather than later. Another couple top 100 offensive prospects in this system that I want to mention are Mason Wynn, who is a shortstop, and Alec Burleson, who is an outfielder. So as a whole, I think this offense is going to be one of the best in baseball. Yet again, I think they have the potential to be top 5. Now, moving on to their pitching, it was also very good last year, as it had a 3.79 team ERA, which ranked 10th. Looking at the starting rotation, we have to start with Adam Wainwright, who last year in 192 innings posted a 3.71 ERA. They also have Jordan Montgomery, who they picked up mid-season from the Yankees last year, who in 178 innings had a 3.48 ERA. Jack Flaherty is another name in this rotation who I think could have a significant impact if healthy. Last year in only 36 innings, he had a 4.25 ERA. Miles Mikolas was probably the best pitcher in this rotation last year, as in 202 innings, he had a 3.29 ERA. As for the 5th and final spot in this rotation, I think it's either going to go to Steven Matz, Dakota Hudson, or Matthew Liberatore. If I had the choice, I would go with Liberatore, who is a former prospect who I think has a lot of potential. One other name I want to mention in this starting rotation is Gordon Graceffo. He's the number 79 prospect in baseball right now. He's a starting pitcher who I think could eventually get some starts. So as for the starting rotation, they don't necessarily have an ace heading into the season, but they do have lots of depth, and I think they are going to be just fine. Now, moving on to their bullpen, it was also pretty good last year, as I had a 3.61 bullpen ERA, which ranked 11th. The 9th inning role looks to be set in stone. It looks like it's Ryan Helsley's job, who last year was one of the best relievers in baseball, as he posted a 1.25 ERA while locking down 19 saves. As for some other arms in this bullpen, they had 4 last year who had a sub 3.2 ERA in Giovanni Gallegos, Andre Palante, Zach Thompson, and Jake Woodford. So for this bullpen, I do have confidence in it. I think Ryan Helsley is going to pitch well, and even in the event that he doesn't pitch necessarily great, they do have Giovanni Gallegos, who does have closing experience as well. So now that we went through this roster top to bottom, let's take a look at their outlook record-wise and also talk about whether I think they can get over the hump or not. As I highlighted throughout the video, I do like this team as a whole. I like their offense, their starting rotation, and their bullpen. I think they all have potential to be top 10. As for their win-loss record, they won 93 last year. I think they're going to be slightly improved. I think they're going to be right around 95 wins. And I do think that is going to be good to win the National League Central yet again. And when I'm talking about getting over the hump, I'm talking about getting over the wildcard hump that they haven't been able to get over in the past 3 years. Now, it's really tough to predict. It really depends on who they match up with and how they're looking at that point in the season. But if I had to guess right now, looking at this team on paper, I think they are National League Championship, maybe even World Series caliber. So to officially answer the question, yes, I do think they're going to get over the hump this year. I think they're one of the few teams across the league who I think are legitimate World Series contenders. Let me know what you guys think of the Cardinals down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.